Okay, welcome. I'm so excited. It's Christine Fraser here with Inner Glow Getter, and I'm sitting here with Gail, who has been participating in some inner glow work over the last, gosh, what's it been since July, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, the retreat was August.
Yeah, was it in August? Yeah, so we started with we started with some meditations pre-retreat,
Yeah, so the whole month of August.
retreat with plant-based foods, an immersive experience. And tell me what your experience has been, some of the transformation that you've gone through since then.
Since then. Well, I think the bigger transformations have to do with being very aware of the nutrients that are in food and, going for nutrient density and then staying away from the junk. And that's probably the biggest learning and the biggest consciousness.
Yeah.
Is the nutrients that are in plants, and then switching from meat proteins to plant proteins, and that whole learning curve of replacing meat
And
protein.
how has that affected your, I guess, your well-being? Like what benefits have you experienced from making that shift?
There's a couple, but when I eat predominantly plants and stay away from all white sugar, I never get tired in the daytime. I don't run out of energy by the end of the day. If I go to bed, I just go to bed because it's bedtime, not because I really have to.
Yeah.
And I don't get heartburn.
Nice.
No heartburn, no indigestion if I'm eating properly. And that's just all the time.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about before you started on this journey. So back to, I don't know, maybe even a year ago, where you were at, what sort of even emotional state you were in, the weight you were at, that, like, what condition were you in about a year ago?
Well, I think the awareness a year ago and that journey that took me up to kind of like, say, the beginning of August, where I made some changes prior to signing up for the retreat. And that was after hitting menopause, my weight just climbed like 10 pounds a year those last couple of years. The weight climbed, and then pain in my joints, arthritis, joint pain, that I have trouble playing with my grandkids. And there's just this realization or this awareness, like, it only gets worse. And I'm already uncomfortable. And so that's where in that year of that recognition. And then it took me to that place where right around that end of July, the 1st of August, where I made up my mind that, I think I've said this to you and a few other people, but it's never going to be easy. It's never going to be convenient, but nobody's going to do it for me. So if I want to feel better, I have to just make that decision.
Wow.
And so that's what I started right about the beginning of probably the 1st of August. And that's when I first went to a kickboxing class, and I had to modify every single exercise to start with.
Wow. And that's
everything.
A really part, because you said you're talking about physical pain, and a lot of people would use that as their excuse as to why they can't exercise.
Oh yeah. Oh, I sure could have. Everything hurt. And I literally modified every single exercise. And I signed up for a yoga class. I had to modify several exercises in yoga.
Yeah.
And there's one trainer at the gym that she said, we have a double amputee kickboxing. If she can do it, anybody can. I go, okay, there's no excuses. Yeah. And really, there's no excuses. We come up with, there's no legitimate reason. We come up with all sorts of excuses, but that's all they are. If there's a will, there's a way.
And how did you find with the plant-based transition, how things tasted?
I can't quite believe how many things I've learned to like and eat. I now eat tofu a lot. I never ate tofu in my life.
Yeah.
I have replaced all my coffee cream, which I've drank my entire life. We're talking, I've drank coffee cream for probably 40 years. Well, it has been 40 years. I've had cream in my coffee. I don't touch coffee cream anymore. It took me probably a month of trying alternatives.
I remember
that's
that.
The other thing.
I specifically remember that.
That's the other thing with any change is like one size doesn't fit all. And a lot of the coffee substitutes have sugar in them. And I was cutting sugar out on purpose, but I also don't like sugar in my coffee, period.
Yeah.
So it just took me a while. And then I found just a simple soy cream replacement is great. I use it all the time, and that's all I use. And when I travel or go anywhere, I just pack it with me because nobody has it.
So speaking to dairy in particularly too, like cutting out of dairy, and I know we always have our little times over the holidays where some cheese gets in or some chocolates and things, but what has specifically with dairy, what do you feel has been a difference for you by cutting that out?
I honestly don't know, because I've never consumed a lot of dairy for like many years, but I definitely never had skin issues or, and again, my joints all feel better, but I think I made a lot of lifestyle changes in the process. So I don't know, so I'm not sure if dairy or the meat, so I can't say specifically. My joints, I move better. I bend better, I flex better, I'm getting stronger. And so, my joints and a lot of the pains I had they're not all completely gone, but much improved. Yeah. And so eliminating dairy certainly could have been a contributor in those improvements, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because there was a number of changes I made at the same time. But I just know that once I've got used to eliminating it, the things I've eliminated, I don't crave anymore.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
And yet at the same time, I'm not interested in being legalistic about it at all. Because when we were doing the course and we did the 21-day challenge of gluten-free, dairy-free, it became just a source of frustration because it just didn't fit my life. I was gone all the time, and it was so much work. Yeah. That I go, okay, I don't need to be that legalistic. And I know I traveled somewhere where the store was sold out of the creamer I used, and I was gone for the weekend. It's like, okay, I'm just putting cream in my coffee. It's like, I don't really want to. And I've actually eliminated most coffee in my life. I've replaced most of my coffee with Dandy Blend. Something else I never thought I would I never even heard of until, a couple of months ago. So now I drink Dandy Blend all the time. But again, I was just gone for the weekend. I go, okay, life is just a little bit too short to be obsessed about it. So I'm just going to use coffee cream that weekend.
I love that. And that's a really important part too, because I think a lot of people who are maybe in this situation that you are in or were in before and thinking like, okay, but I don't want, they can't imagine themselves going plant-based. Yeah. And I always say you don't have to necessarily be 100%. I mean, I think that almost becomes a natural tendency once you kind of tip the scale. It's just a natural tendency, but a lot of people can't visualize that from the beginning, so they don't even start. So like you just said, you were in a tough spot. So it's like, so what? I had a little dairy. Yep. It's going to be part of that transition sometimes. Yep. And maybe that's just okay too.
Well, and that's what I chose. It just chose it to be okay, not a problem.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important element of the journey too, is it's, there's the all or nothing approach, and like you're definitely, results will show themselves as you go, but we're also human. And I think that it's important. I'm like, if you can do an 80% or 90%, you're going to get 80 to 90% better is a lot better than zero.
What it was. Exactly. And that's exactly my motto.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so on a regular basis, even through Christmas, I still ate way more plants and less junk than I ever would have in the past. Yeah. And so on an ongoing basis, I can still look back and say, well, maybe this week I ate more food than I needed to continue on a weight loss journey, but I sure ate a lot of good plants.
Yeah, great.
and a lot of nutrients. And then I just remind myself that it's a journey. You don't eat plants for a month so that you can lose those 5 pounds to go back to eating like chocolate or whatever a person, it's about the lifestyle change. And I think we all have to find what works to make it sustainable.
So what would you say are your top go-to favorite meals right now?
Oh, Well, at home, I do any amount of Buddha type bowls, which again, I never heard of those words before,
Yeah.
but to cook up, and again, I got an Instant Pot a few months back, so that sure speeds up, the brown rice, quinoa or beans, but I always cook up enough to last a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll have that, a container of quinoa or brown rice, and then just to have that whole assortment of roasted vegetables and fresh greens and a little bit of just a squeeze of lime or lemon on it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And if I have to eat out, my go-to is, if I'm in a mall, almost all malls have a freshie now. You can go get a Buddha bowl.
Yeah, that's and hydration is a big part of it.
And hydration, and for me, that's not an issue. But I drink lots of water, yes. And I drink a lot of Dandy Blend, and I get to where I've added green drinks, not every single day. Mm-hmm. Again, it's hard to, I think for me, I can't focus on everything every day. So yeah, exactly. I'll kind of look at the week and see what's the trajectory. But if I didn't have any salads at lunchtime and there's not a whole lot of greens, like looking for supper for whatever reason, mm-hmm. I'll just take a half a bag of lettuce or half a bag of spinach. If I have lettuce that's getting old, I'll grab the lettuce and just put it in the Vitamix with some almond milk. Mm-hmm. And it'll make like 3 glasses and I just drink it all.
Yeah, beautiful.
Just as simple as it can get.
Awesome.
But as soon as I think about I'm going to make a green drink and I'm going to add this because it's healthy and I'm going to add that because it's healthy, then all of a sudden it becomes a time component.
Yeah.
So there's the times where I'm just going to consume greens, and I really like just spinach and almond milk. It doesn't get any faster or simpler than that. And I'll throw a half a bag of spinach in.
Yeah, love it. I know, that's it. A lot of people don't realize the power of greens and the vitality that you can bring, and how simple when you drink them, it's not really a big deal. It's like blend them up with some fruit and almond milk too for those.
Yeah, and then you can just add. Yeah, you can just add all those preferences. Yeah,
exactly. So we went over a little bit more of your personal why. How is your weight actually? We haven't spoken about the weight success you've had, the weight loss success.
Yeah.
How many pounds did you lose now since, I guess, the retreat?
Since the retreat, because I had started making some changes prior to the retreat, and I had eliminated sugar. For me, sugar is the biggest trigger for everything that goes wrong with what I eat. Just white sugar. And again, if it's in something that's bought and it's on the bottom of the list, like I'm not being like rigid and legalistic about it, but just all sweets, like, zero cake, zero cookies, zero, like things that are obviously a sugar food.
Yeah.
For me personally, is just those is bad.
Yeah.
So with eliminating that, so I had lost a little bit of weight before the retreat, and then since the retreat, it would be just over 20 pounds.
Wow. Yeah.
So I've lost 27 pounds altogether so far.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And, if you're speaking to somebody that was in your position, that's in those aches and pains, also like, going through a lot of emotional distress, like we don't have to go into details, but you've had a lot of, and I think everybody does in some capacity, they go through a lot of family struggles, people in their lives that they care about that are going through tough things, especially as women. I think a lot of women just take on a lot of burdens of other people. Right. How do you feel like even some of the meditation and practice and stuff like that has impacted your relationship with people in your life?
Yeah, I think where the meditation, it's funny, you gotta practice, like to learn how to meditate, because I can listen to words and think about other things at the same time, no problem.
Yeah.
Next to yoga, when you're in a yoga class, especially if you go to like a yin class where you're holding poses, like it's a great time to practice the meditation techniques, but it really helps to bring that energy down and bring it to a focus.
Yeah.
Because life is always busy, and I've had some really serious stressors in my life, things that I've had to deal with, the things outside of my control that I just had to learn to live with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't disappear, and everybody has those challenges, just their own, but there's always challenges.
Absolutely.
And so, with this, meditation and prayer, the idea is just starting the day by just bringing things into focus, and then you're ready to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And what else was I going to ask about? Yeah, I guess just those sort of words of wisdoms of what would be those first three things that you would say to somebody in that position that you were in. Maybe they're stressed and they're gained a bunch of weight, they're feeling overwhelmed. How do you talk to that person?
Well, been there, done that. I'm down 27 pounds, and maybe some people have lost that much. I have not lost that much weight in my entire life. Like, I've only been on a diet one other time in my life. And so those 27 pounds, other than gaining a lot going through menopause, I've been gaining weight for 20 years. And so to think that I've actually turned it around is huge.
Yeah.
And so it's just knowing that if you get the resolve, like, it can be done, and it's just one thing at a time. So like when my daughter said, come to kickboxing with me, I'm going, kickboxing? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I've never been interested in boxing, and I don't like sweating.
Yeah, yeah.
But I went, but I just made the decision to go, and it was just one decision at a time. And then I go, like, I survived, so I'm going to make the decision to go again.
Yeah. I
like it really,
the word decision, because I think
it's just making the decision, and just so starting that. And then after a few weeks, probably about 3 weeks in from making that one decision to go kickboxing, is the recognition that if I want to lose weight, I have to do something different. And so for me, it's just like sugar is my nemesis. Mm-hmm. Everything else is kind of set. Like, I've never been a drinker. I've always had one drink. If I have a glass of wine, so that, everybody's got their own channel of what's their issue. Mm-hmm. So then it's making that one next decision. And for me, eliminating sugar was much easier than trying to limit it.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a really great thing. And now,
so for me,
question, I guess, comes back to when we were at the retreat. I just remember when we did the breathwork experience, and the very first breathwork experience, you made a comment that was pretty significant, and I think it really was a big part of that initiation, in a way, of release of some sort. How did you feel after that first breathwork experience?
Oh, well, it was so surreal. I mean, I certainly had no idea what to think, what to expect, and it was certainly different from anything I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I think everybody was like shocked.
Yeah, and so I didn't have specific releases from, let's say, traumas or things that are some people's story, but there certainly was just a level of insight and clarity.
Yeah.
Of choosing what paths that I want to take.
Yeah, right. It is. That's a great way to put it. It's a kind of a profound sense of clarity. That kind of hits you. Yeah, beautiful, awesome. Well, I think that's awesome. I think that's a great message to share with people, and I'm really proud of you. I think that it's not easy to take this journey, and it's not easy until it's easy. But it's worth it. And I think
it is. Yeah,
I think that's a big message too, is it really does become worth it just to take those steps to incorporate more plant-based foods and do the workouts. And like you said, I think from you, my biggest takeaway from you is that whole you're the only one that can do this. It's like nobody's going to do it for you. It's time to just get on the bandwagon. Because we're not getting any younger. Nobody is. And so it's important to take care of this little vessel we have called our bodies.
Yes. And for many of us, not everybody, but many of us and many women, we're caregivers by nature. It's much easier to do things for other people. My kids, my grandkids, I foster dogs. I fostered children for many years.
Yes.
Giving and serving and doing is much more natural to be helping somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's a little uncomfortable to say, I need to help myself. And it's okay to incorporate me time to be a priority.
Yeah.
And that's a shift. That took a shift. Yeah.
And I'm so glad you took it.
Me too.
Yeah. It's gonna be the best year.
The journey's not done. It's just an ongoing journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big message too. It's like you're never there and you're never done. It's just, it is a journey. It's a continuous, you know, you still have to get up and go to the gym again tomorrow.
Yes. And cook tomorrow. And yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it is worth it. Beautiful, Gail. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. For those of you listening, if you want to start a little healthy kickstart, we do have a free download at innerglowgetter.com. You can go there, log in, and get a free recipe package. So be sure to check that out, and post a comment below if you want to give Gail some thumbs up and just encourage her on her journey. Thank you so much, Gail.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.